A woman shared that her husband has cheated on her and she's not leaving him until her kids graduate from high school. Now, a lot of you, before even listening to what I have to say, have immediately started typing in the comment section that she needs to leave, blah, 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 whatever the reason is, without even listening to anything. Just hear me out for a second, y'all. Yes, the happiness and the health of children, it's been proven it actually depends on the happiness and the health of the mother. So if you are emotionally beat down and not having a good time, that's going to roll over into your kids. And in a lot of these situations, the kids will either become the abuser or the abused based on the examples that they were given. So all in all, the best thing for the kids would be to leave. However, leaving costs money, and so many people who are quick to type leave, they don't donate to women's shelters, they're not volunteering at women's shelters, and they haven't done so much as a Google search on what it's like to be in these situations that can sometimes be dangerous. They're just talking out of their asses, and they assume they know what the law is based on a couple of episodes of Judge Judy that they watched. But as someone who's actually gone through the legal system and has had a divorce and a child custody case go through the legal system, a lot of the things that people assume is accurate information is wrong. And even if it is correct, it's correct for the state that they live in or the particular judge that presided over whatever case that they're talking about. It doesn't apply to everyone everywhere. There are women who leave and could potentially and have had their children taken away from them because they don't have a way to provide for those children. So just leave. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. Another one of the things that you have to take into consideration is, again, leaving costs money. You can't just walk out of your house on a random Tuesday with 2 kids. You kind of need to know where you're going to go. I mean, as fucked up as this world is, even if you sleep on a park bench, the police are going to tap you on your shoulder and say you can't stay here. And even if you get to a women's shelter like I did, you will need some money. Eventually, the point of those women's shelters are not for you to stay there forever. You will still need to make a plan. I think a lot of them give you maybe 3 to 6 months. And you will have to make a plan to get out. Now, while they will help you find resources if you get to a good shelter, eventually you're going to have to pay the bills. You will eventually have to get a job. And you will need childcare if you have small children. And the biggest thing of all, leaving is the most dangerous time for a woman. Even if there was no prior abuse, and I'm talking physical abuse, or anything that would make you assume that your life would be in danger, there have been situations where these men flip the script and they're like, hell no, and at the last minute they freak out and they permanently get rid of the woman or put her in the hospital. So it's not just as simple as just leave, because unless you plan on housing these women, you need to shut the fuck up and do a little research. I stayed with my abusive ex-husband for 5 fucking years, 5 of the longest years of my life. And the biggest reason that I stayed as long as I did is because I just did not have the money. Google was not what it is today. So there wasn't a lot of resources and information and access to information. I had friends at the time, but they had no clue. They were in pretty happy, healthy marriages at the time, so they wouldn't know what to do. So it took me a little time to dig and to get a plan together. And then, first of all, it took me time to realize that I was even getting abused, because you have to think, I left in 2008. There wasn't TikTok and creators really talking a lot about stuff like this in depth to specific situations. It was a lot of general information that you could read and be like, oh, well, I must not be abused because this particular thing on this chart doesn't apply to me. It was a lot harder. Even in 2008, I couldn't even imagine women who tried to leave way before that, our grandmas and great grandmas. Anyway, I digress. So with that being said, there are a lot of women who still don't even think that their situation is really that bad. Meanwhile, it is literally deteriorating their mental and emotional and even their physical health if they have a partner that is cheating and putting their health at risk. So while the answer is ultimately always going to be to leave, it's not always going to be to leave immediately, and it takes the average woman about 7 times to officially leave before she's finally done with that person, and they keep going back. So there are a lot of women who are still in that phase of they love the person and they think that person is going to change. And that's why it pisses me off when people bitch and complain about hearing content about narcissism. I wish I had all the content back in 2008 because it would have helped me figure shit out a lot sooner. So for everybody bitching and complaining that they're tired of hearing people talking about narcissists, all that content that you're tired of fucking hearing about is saving someone's life, because there are so many women who don't even know how bad their situation is. And they're just chalking up this abuse to, oh, this must be the hard times that everybody keeps telling me that I need to go through in my relationship before it gets good. So next time you want to rush and tell somebody that they need to just run, I want you to ask yourself, where the fuck exactly are they running to? I also want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you donated time and or money to a women's shelter? I want you to ask yourself, when's the next time you actually took the time to do research on the cycle of abuse and how hard it is for women to leave and what it's like to be in their particular situation? And I need you to fucking have a little bit of compassion. The people who follow my content, I would hope, are people who have hearts, people who have common sense, people who would just, even if they don't want to read a book, they could just do a Google search. You don't even have to leave this app. You can search right on this app any questions that you have. Because from the outside looking in, from the comforts of your own home, it's easy to tell a woman to leave. When you're not romantically involved with the man she's with, you have no emotional attachment to her or her children. It's not going to take any money out of your bank account whether or not she leaves or not. It's not going to affect your life if anything happens to her. It's easy from that standpoint to say, you just need to leave. You need to run. I fucking hate that word at this point. But until you truly know what's really going on and all the things that are on the line in situations like this, you really just need to shut up. Because you thinking that you're helping by telling her she needs to leave now, you're actually just shaming her and further frustrating the situation because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I want all women in abusive situations and situations that they're getting cheated on, I want all women to flee those situations immediately. However, I'm also smart enough to know and have lived through this, so I know that sometimes leaving today isn't going to be the best option. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it needs a plan. Sometimes that plan is contingent upon finances. Sometimes that plan is contingent upon you finally seeing the light and realizing the severity of the situation. But ultimately, for every woman, right now is not always going to be the right time to leave.